Hi, welcome to Long Lost Friends. I'm Elizabeth Eve King.
And I'm Andrea Goyan. Elizabeth and I used to do comedy improv together in bars back when we were underage, but then we lost touch with each other.
But then we became of age and found each other a few years later and discovered we're both painters,
Performers
animal lovers,
and Pilates teachers.
and naturalists.
Elizabeth, I'm not a naturalist. I mean, I love nature, but that's as far as
that
I
counts. That counts. The important thing is
we're
long lost friends.
And we're also award-winning fiction writers.
After one of my short stories appeared in MetaStellar, we started this show.
MetaStellar, for those of you who don't know, is an online speculative fiction magazine. We publish horror, fantasy, science fiction. There's a link below if you want to check us out.
Today, we are so excited to be bringing in the home team. Geordie, Morse, and Marie LeClaire are on staff and will be talking to us about MetaStellar's first anthology.
Geordie is the fiction editor for MetaStellar. He works primarily as a personal language coach, developing curricula and working with clients remotely. His first book, Renna's Crossing, is out now, and his various other projects are cataloged on his site. Ornamental. That was a tongue twister.
And Marie LeClaire is MetaStellar's reprints and excerpts editor. She's written and published books for 5 years, mostly magic realism. She has 4 novels available on Amazon.com and also a library of free short stories on her website, Marie LeClaire. Her newest urban fantasy novel, The Mistaken Haunting of Seth Herrickson, will be out soon. Follow her on Facebook and Instagram. She thinks there's a little bit of magic out there if you know where to look. You can find her books on Amazon, links below.
So first, I mean, Elizabeth has been upstaging us the entire time with a bird on her head. So tell us about your bird before we get going, your newest pets.
Okay, I do animal rescue in the summer, birds. And this is little Long John Silver, so named because he's only got one good eye. He's a baby. And I don't know how long he'll be. He might stay all summer. Who knows? Eventually he'll be going. But right now he doesn't think so. Say hi, Long John. Say hi, Long John.
Very cute. Now, I know that, Geordie, you said your cat was with you, and Marie.
Oh no, he's not with me, sadly.
And you have some unique pets to show us, Marie.
Yeah, so I tend to be a wanderer. I've been a wanderer my whole adult life, which doesn't really bode well for the cat lover that I am. But I find that plants seem to survive a little bit better on their own. So there's a couple of my favorite plants that I've been managing to keep alive for the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're very architectural. They're very nice. So we're just so happy to have both of you be able to be with us to talk about the anthology, because this is the first one for MetaStellar, right?
Yes.
Very good. Now, before we get into the details of the anthology, can you tell us a little bit about how each of you became involved with MetaStellar? So Geordie, why don't we start with you?
Yeah. So I guess you could say, got in the ground floor because I actually know Maria through her daughter. I was been friends with her for a very long time throughout, high school and stuff like that. And so when Maria was first, starting up MetaStellar, even before it was called MetaStellar, that was one of the first big things, was figuring out the name for this thing. Basically I got involved through her daughter, and I was, able to stay and help out where I can, because obviously I'm also a writer, and I really enjoy the things that we were thinking about and doing. And, I definitely got sucked in by Maria's kind of gung-ho enthusiasm for, building this site that would sort of fill in the cracks between all the big folks out there. So yeah, it's just kind of was a very organic thing for me.
And Marie, how about you? What brought you to MetaStellar?
So I am in a writers group with Melody Friedenthal, who's also part of the MetaStellar team. And she showed up one night and said, hey, does anybody want to offer their services to MetaStellar as a reprints editor? And I thought, oh, what the heck? So, I thought it would be nice to have a different take on the whole publishing arena. And so now I'm on the other side. I work both sides, so to speak.
Yeah. So I know that for original fiction, MetaStellar has 2 windows a year, I think. Is that correct, Geordie? 2 windows?
Yep, that's how it's turned out, is that we have a spring submission and a fall submission cycle. Each one, we open the window for about a month, and then, from like start date to like finishing, it's like at least twice that to just get everybody, signed and all the things edited and all the stuff like that.
So you've got like 4 months that are busy for that.
Yes.
Marie, you get stuff all year long. How many submissions do you get usually for reprints?
They come in pretty steadily, but I'm not usually overwhelmed with them. So fortunately, they come in, I look at them, I, decide, I schedule them. So, I would say I get maybe, a couple of weeks, so maybe 8 or 10 a month. And we try to post the reprints 3 times a week. It doesn't always work that way, but we try to get a reprint up 3 times a week.
And now this anthology it's coming out, it's going to be both the originals and the reprints, right? For the first year, everything.
Correct. Our first year flagship.
Wow. And do we have a name for this anthology?
I think
if there is one, I don't know.
it's just MetaStellar. I think it's just MetaStellar Year One.
Oh, nice.
So
So it's all of the original fiction you published in the first year and then a selection of the reprints that you published?
Yes.
Correct.
And how many stories total do you guys know at this point? I mean, well, I think you know, but
I think
approximately?
at last I knew it was 45.
Perfect. That's great.
exciting.
So did you come up with a theme, or did you, I mean, obviously you have the theme of the first year, but did you find any trends or anything while you were putting it together? Story trends?
I think I don't know about what you saw, Marie. I think I remember Melody saying that she saw a fair amount of horror. So not that was necessarily a planned theme, but I definitely, at least with me, when I get the original fiction stuff, it's like horror is a very well represented genre in the original fiction stories that we get. So I'm sure that a lot of that made it into the anthology as well.
Because I know Marie writes magic realism, and I know the short story I had accepted by MetaStellar was magic realism. So I wondered if that's sort of a through line in a lot of things.
No, actually, it really is. This anthology really is a representation of the whole speculative fiction arena. So in that sense, it's really nice. And one of the things that I particularly like about it is that it has that comedy or humor is well represented as well. So we've been fortunate to get some lighthearted spec fic as well. So that's been fun.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That is great. I mean, it's hard. It's actually, as I think all of us are writers here, it's often hard to find a home for lighter pieces that are speculative. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lot of originals that are that way, or were those mostly the reprints at this time?
For the original stuff, I definitely like, I do notice as the original stuff comes through, it's like, obviously it's like writing comedy into a spec fic can be pretty difficult, right? Unless you have a really good hook. So like I tend to find that like either it kind of just sinks or it really pops. It's like I definitely remember a few stories, not necessarily by name, but like some of the ones that just like really had a really good comedic edge to them that really just a lot of our judges really latched onto and went through very easily.
That's great. So is this your guys' first anthology that you're doing?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun reading all the stories again in some cases. So yeah, it's been fun.
And how
Wow.
has it been to physically put the book together as far as like figuring out the puzzle pieces of which story follows which and how it all gets put together? Did the two of you have to work together with that?
Yeah, we did not. Melody Friedenthal is the one from my perspective, Geordie. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
She put it all together beautifully, I might add. Really just rolls right along. Things are spread out. You get a little taste of this and a little taste of that, and then it changes up again. An excellent job in that regard. Yes.
Yeah, no, I think she definitely did a good job of like looking at what we had and making sure that there wasn't, too many stories in a row that are just kind of like the same tone, or, just like, so that, you really just get a variety plate really. And then she was very, meticulous in choosing especially the leading story and the final story, because those are kind of the bookends of the book. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I've heard that. And it's actually interesting because I think a lot of times when I pick up anthologies, especially probably from younger publishers, I don't feel like they often lead with their best story. Like sometimes it's embedded in the middle of the novel or the middle of the collection. And I'm like, wow, you're going to lose people on the first few pages if you don't really grab them. So
yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah,
And
you're
do you
right.
guys think that MetaStellar is going to do a new anthology every year? Is that the plan at this time?
yeah, I think that's the plan. We've got year one. It sort of commits us to the process.
Year two. Or
And
else it's like you have one in 50-year one.
Right,
50.
exactly.
well, and I will just say there's already been fabulous stories that have come through in this second year. So I'm
Yeah.
totally looking forward. And now I'm actually reading with that in my head. So I'm looking forward to pulling together the next round.
That's cool. I know I'm going off track here, but I'm wondering with MetaStellar, does it has MetaStellar or do they plan to in the future nominate things for different awards?
We have already actually.
Did you?
I
Right?
I was in charge of nominating 3 of our original short stories for it's a pretty local award. It's like the science fiction writers, specifically it's like a DC or Maryland based kind of like regional award. I haven't heard anything back from it, but it was really a nice nice feeling to be able to message our authors who have been already published and say, hey, we put you up for an award because we think you do really well in it.
That's great.
That's great.
There's
Yeah.
so
Have you
many
thought
options.
about nominating for like push carts and stuff maybe in the years to come?
Yeah, I mean that would be great. It's like just any sort of way we can push our authors further into the spotlight, I think is a great thing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So this question, I'll go Geordie first and Marie second. If you could give yourself, your younger self, one bit of advice, what would it be?
Probably to not, well, to be both more serious about writing and also not to be as serious about it in different ways. So, it's like in terms of seriousness, I wish I had pushed myself to be more consistent with my writing because, especially when you're young, it's like a lot of your writing is tied up in your ego, because it's like, oh yes, I'm an author, these are my ideas, but having ideas is a very separate skill from actually your technical writing ability. So even if you have great ideas, if you can't write them in an interesting way, it's going to be hard to find an audience. And, it took me plenty of time during my 20s to kind of realize that I really need to buckle down and work on my technical writing if I, want to get people to read the ideas that I have. And in the opposite way, it's like I wish I had been less serious about it, because when you're really tense about your writing, it's hard to let yourself be creative and let yourself kind of relax when you make mistakes. And I feel like it just makes it harder for you to grow if you're just tense about your writing and very serious about it all the time. So it's like, I think the best thing you can do for yourself is let yourself write poorly, just write stuff that is never going to see the light of day. write it, be self-indulgent, then toss it away because you can always write more. You know, it's a unending resource, really.
That's that's good advice, I think. That's really,
Yeah.
really good advice.
Definitely.
Okay, Marie,
Emily.
top that.
Yeah, I know, right? You know, if I could advise my younger self, I would say to enjoy your own stories, right? To just write things that you love. You know, there's this old write things you know, or all these other kind of, I guess, trendy recommendations. But mine is love what you're writing. If you don't love your story, start again. Right? If you don't love what you're writing, and understand that not every reader is going to resonate with your books. So, you know, you can't write in that way either, right? You have to just write what you love, and the right people will love it, and the right people, other people will love it as well. So yeah, and just chill.
That's great advice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
definitely.
that is really good advice. Enjoy the journey, I guess.
Yeah, yes, enjoy your own story as it evolves. For me, because I'm a pantser. And so my story really does just come to life as I'm writing. And occasionally I know where it's going to end, but sometimes I don't even know that. So yeah, so it's a journey. Same as everything else.
Yeah,
Great.
fantastic. So Elizabeth, is it that time?
Oh, I think it is that time. So we like to end our shows with the best thing we learned this week. And we cheat a little. It's not always the best. It could be the weirdest. And it's not always necessarily learned this week. But in this particular case, because I always start, because I always have these great things, I am going to start with, and I did actually learn this week, and I had two that were really, really interesting for me. But one of them, this is for all the science fiction writers out there, you know, one of the questions scientists have had is why the whole galaxy seems to be expanding faster than it should be. And they've recently discovered that there might be this unseen mirror world of particles that only interacts through our world through the gravity, through the pull, and that explains the expansion. And they've just discovered this. So the idea that there's this other universe out there that's just dealing with our gravity, which means to me, maybe there's 80 million other things, you know, maybe this is just dealing with our light waves or our, you know, there are other worlds out there messing with us, folks. I just want you to know.
Very good. Lots of good stuff to work with on that for writers. So mine is, you know, most of you science fiction people are going to go, God, I can't believe she just found out about that. But I went to an awards ceremony last weekend for the high school kids in Los Angeles for the Omega Festival. And it was fantastic.
The
kids-
Omega Festival, can I interrupt you, Andrea? The Omega
Yeah.
Festival, which Andrea won last year, not as a high school, student, obviously.
Yeah,
but as
not as a high school student, not that
grown-up writer.
but thank you,
Was
Elizabeth.
the winner.
But it's
story
so
one.
amazing to hear what those kids are writing, because they're actually, I wish to God I had been as good a writer at that age. They're amazing. But they had, before they got started, they had this man playing the theremin. And I was like, what the hell? I hadn't even seen it, but it is science fiction sounds, right? I mean, but watching him play the theremin and how, you know, it's hands-free music, and it was just wild and really, really fun. So I got introduced to the theremin. That was my big news.
You want to tell us, you want to give us a little, for those of us who don't know what a theremin is?
The theremin creates all those sounds that we hear in all the old science fiction movies and things like that. And it's an instrument I can't do a very good job explaining, but it's got this part that goes this way and a part that goes this way. And there's like an antenna, and the antenna, I think, does the pitch, and this does the volume. So that with their hands in the air, they just create these sounds and this music. Very spacey. It's very fun. And apparently it's quite complex to learn how to do.
Oh, I can imagine.
Look
It's
it
really
up.
cool.
Theremin, look it up. It's very cool.
Yes, and I know there's YouTube videos of that for sure, but it is very
For
cool.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool, isn't it? I mean, I was like, you think you know it all, and then you find out you know nothing. So Marie, you want to tell us something fun or weird or cool?
Well, kind of
Yes,
weird, I guess.
weird.
I won't say that it was necessarily this week, but I was challenged with finding some new piece of science information with which to then spin a story about. And so I was looking through one of the websites that publishes the latest science stuff. And I came across the idea of white holes. And so maybe people have already heard about that. I don't know.
No,
No, there's this
never
whole-
heard of white holes. That is really wow.
Yeah, tell
So the white hole actually spits things out. And they're not sure if it's the other side of a black hole
I was gonna ask.
or not, or yeah. And I don't know that they've ever actually identified one, but the theory is that there is such a thing as a white hole, and that it emits material. So kind of in a way, kind of Big Bang style too, you would think, right? If you're thinking in the biggest possible way, right?
It also makes me think, and you could get a magenta hole, and then there's
See,
hole.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Whole spectrum of color holes
Yes.
and A-holes and well, anyway.
That's
A-hole. Yeah, there are a lot of those around too lately.
all colors and shapes.
So, okay,
Okay,
Geordie.
All right. Well, we got a lot of big ideas of, like expanding galaxies and white holes and stuff like that. But my thing is about bananas. So maybe some people already know about this, but I think it's just a really interesting thing about kind of our worldly experience is that, if you've ever had like a banana flavored candy or like a boxed, like processed banana pudding, and you kind of wonder, it's like, why is the banana flavor so different than, like a regular banana, right? And in fact, it's because that the artificial banana flavor comes from a banana that is now extinct and has been for a long time. So basically back in, kind of times when we were, transplanting and shipping different kinds of fruits around the world, when we sort of, people were first discovering them, there was the predominant, I believe, species of banana, and I'm probably not going to say this right. It's called the Gros Michel. Gros Michel. I believe it's French, but it was kind of the banana du jour, as it was the most hardy and was able to ship very well, and it had that very distinctive taste that you can, in fact, taste from a Laffy Taffy or something like that today. But I think during around the middle of the previous century, there was a huge plague, a banana plague, and just wiped out all of the, banana plantations and stuff like that. However, there was a different species of banana that was being cultivated called the Cavendish, which is the banana that we now basically have today, but is a very different taste than the Gros Michel. And so that's why we have, the bananas in our stores that taste one way, and then the banana flavored stuff that tastes a different way, which I'm not a huge fan of the artificial banana flavor. I know some people are crazy for it, and it's like, it's not for me, but I thought that was interesting.
It is. I know that's really, I'd never heard that. I had heard about the fact that we only have one banana clone, basically one DNA, and they're worried about it getting wiped out, that there's nothing to replace it. So I know that I've heard
tons of different kinds of bananas, like with all these, one tasted like coconut and pineapple mix and this and that, and that they don't exist anymore. You still find like the little bananas, the monkey bananas you find in South America.
plantains,
Yeah.
but yeah, wow. So very
That's
cool.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you, and we want to thank Maria our Maria Korloff, our editor, manager, the head of MetaStellar, the whole everything. And Sydney Levinson, get well. She's been a little ill. She's our editor and we couldn't do it without her.
That's very true. And we'd love for anyone who's watching to, like the video if you like it, leave comments, let us know what you're thinking, because we'd love to hear all about it. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button so that you don't miss any future episodes. And if you would like to help out MetaStellar, excuse me, and help us put out more and more original material, original content, and that's writing content, not our videos, but the writers, go to our Patreon page and give us some money, because we would love that for the ability to pay the writers. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys. I can't wait to get my hands on the anthology when it comes out. And it was great to meet both of you.
Yeah.
So thank you. I know it's weird, but we haven't met. So
I know,
anyway,
right?
thank
I
you.
know that
A lot
this
of
is the
email
world.
exchanges.
A lot of email
but
exchanges.
nothing in,
Yeah.
well, sort of person. Yeah, and it
This
is.
is their
And
world.
please, everybody, when the anthology comes out, buy it, because there's going to be so many fabulous stories in there.
They're
Yeah.
all fabulous. Yes, a great selection and very well put together. So I'm looking forward to it.
And there will be a
Absolutely.
link below in this video for either, depending on if it's out yet, for either purchasing it or for ordering it in advance. So keep a lookout. So thank you guys again. Thanks so much. And
Thank
we
you.
will see our audience next time. So
Thank you.
thanks. Bye. Bye, Marie. Bye, Geordie.
Bye.
Bye, Elizabeth.